Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So it's 5 minutes into 2. I just want to start off this presentation right away. First of all, I want to welcome all of you to another Tutorial Tuesday. This Tutorial Tuesday, why are we saying let's do this as sales? Because before we get into all the other trainings that we have planned out for the company, I just wanted to make sure that everyone at least is up to speed with the value that you can be able to create when you start to do this type of business. When you start to create some interesting value. So it is always very good to know how to negotiate. Number one, to negotiate and turn opportunity into actual money. So I just wanted to welcome everyone who's coming on board. I see Nicholas is here, Wycliffe is here. I think Galaxy, this must be Comfort. Doug is here. I don't know, Doug, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, because I don't think you're connected to me. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Sales and persuasion, the basics of sales and persuasion. And I'm going to just have a conversation. And from everyone, all I want is that I just want to keep this as short as possible, 30 minutes just to take you guys through the process. And then after that, we're going to have a very big Q&A. Any question about sales, anything to do with sales and persuasion, just prepare your questions as I go through the small presentation that I've prepared for you. I want to start off with a book recommendation, just one book. And if you're noting down, I want you guys to go look for this book, Sell or Be Sold. Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Let me just send it here in the chat. Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. I want everyone, if you do get some time, if you go on the internet, track it down, steal it, whatever you have to do, just get your hands on that book. Because there's just one, you see, even in the title, it's going to start with what I wanted to begin with. In life, I do believe that we either sell or someone else is going to be selling us. Let's start with slave trade in Africa. Mm-hmm. The Africans were sold because the Africans failed to sell. And that is essentially the number one point, is that why is it important to learn how to sell? Why is it important to sell? Selling is life. Selling is everything. Let's start with the basics. Like, you meet a young girl, you meet a young boy, you like her, you want to, fall in love, get something going. You have to sell yourself. You have to sell the idea that you are the best person amongst the sea of 7 billion people. You are the best person who can take this young boy, young girl forward in life, and you are selling yourself, you see. Let's take an example of getting a job. Getting a job, like you want to get a job. You have to go into that interview. Why interviews happen? They want to see if you are the best person for the job. So let's say your grades are not so good or whatever is not so good. How can you be able to get into that meeting and sell yourself that you are the best amongst all the other clients, amongst all the other applicants who have put in business? Whenever a person talks about sales, everyone thinks about business first. But of course, yes, in business, the number one reason why businesses fail is because of lack of sales. Those of you who are part of Greypoint Media, even though we have not yet grown big as a company, but at least we have convinced some people somewhere to give us some money. We have sold to them the idea that Greypoint Media solves their problem. So just to point out, the book that you should start with in this sales journey should be Sell or Be Sold. You're either selling or someone is selling you. You're either the one pushing the agenda or someone is doing what? Pushing the agenda against you. So, but it's always better to be on the side whereby you sell. So, and if in case you cannot hear me, please just put it in the chat. Like, Davin, I think something is not right. I see everyone is here. Let me see. Derek, Oliver, we welcome you. Neo, Wycliffe, we welcome all of you guys. But we're just continuing with the number one reason why sales is so important. Selling is the most important skill. I do believe leaders business people who have made a lot of money, it is because of one simple fact. They have been salespeople. They sell to you the idea. They sell to you the idea that I am the best president of this country. I will take it further. Vision 2020. You see, but it's a sale. That is a sale. When you go out there to tell people that you are the only one who can, are you sure? But the one who has been chosen, it means is the one who has the best sales ability. So keep that in mind, is that selling, as we go through the whole sales process and all these things that we're going to discuss, selling is the most powerful, number one. It is even, I would put it above food, but the basics, food, shelter, and clothing are there. But selling is really, really important. Continuing on to why sales is the most important thing in the world, we need to define what sales is. And those of you who are taking notes, I would like you guys to note this, is that what is sales and what is persuasion? But in my own opinion, I do find that sales is simply serving, is service. In short, like I don't want to give you the textbook definition. You guys can always Google it. The act of convincing people, blah, blah, blah. Does not matter. Sales is simply service. To serve the needs of your neighbor. You see, like in the Bible, the holy book, everyone talks about it, is that love your neighbor as you love yourself. And the person who can be able to do that, who can be able to love their neighbor as they love themselves, is a great salesman. You see, leaders who have perfected the sale of getting elected, they use the perception is that I am going to parliament to serve you. I am going to serve the people. So when you are in any act of sales, whether like I've talked about, sales is in relationships, it is in business, it is in jobs, it is anywhere you're trying to, let's say a police officer catches you and you have maybe been speeding, you can sell yourself out of not getting a ticket. You see, those are the dynamics. But to really understand what you're doing in that instance is that you are serving the police officer. And one of the ways, a friend of mine gave me an example. One of the ways to get yourself out of a ticket is, first of all, by acknowledging that he's not just a sir. Sir, I'm sorry, no. Afandi. The word afandi seems to be, it is a word that I respect you. I serve you. I'm here. I am below you at this moment. And that's where you start to win the sale. So the best salespeople around the world that you have heard about, let's say the best the people who are leading countries now, just know that they use the tactic of service, that I am going to serve. So anyone who comes to serve you, anyone who wants to give you something, you always receive it firsthand. And just know that we are in a world that is always taking from us. I mean, death is the worst way you can go out, right? The world is always taking. But if you want to make a great salesperson or to be a great salesperson and have effective sales, is that you have to approach it from a perspective of what? Of being the giver, of serving. So that's what the definition, in my own opinion, the few years I've done sales that I've seen works very well. Understand that sales is service. And when we talk about persuasion, to persuade people, like, okay, you're selling, you have to persuade someone that this is the best product that they can buy. Maybe I am the best boy you can marry, something like that. You have to be more of a listener, to listen to what is not being spoken about, to see what the intricacies are. So persuasion, yes, there's a textbook definition. You can go Google it and you see it. But in my own opinion, I'm just saying it is listening. So when you say sales and persuasion, it's good to interchange them and say service of listening. And if you approach any interaction you are in, I want you guys to try this out. If you really want to see the power of sales, how sales cuts across, is that even when you want to, maybe at your home, you want to get maybe your partner, or maybe you want to get your parent or maybe a child to do for you something, you approach it from a part of like, I want to serve you. Like, let's say you want to get the child to wash dishes. You want them to pause a event, right? You can tell them, please help me. Help me wash the dishes so that I can cook for you the food that you eat. You see? So such to approach, instead of saying, you go and wash the dishes right now, I'll beat you. Oh, okay, that is interesting. That I don't think can get you very far. But when you approach it, it's like, I want to serve you. I really want to, I understand you're hungry. I understand. So can you help me do A so that we can, work it out together? So that is how the whole sales process is based on service and listening. So those of you who are writing down service and listening, just to backtrack, those of you who have just joined us, we welcome all of you. This is the basics of sales and persuasion. My name is Davin Oyesigye, and I'm the CEO here at Greypoint Media. So I welcome all of you. But just to backtrack a bit, we are saying that sales is the most powerful thing that you can learn in this 21st century. Actually, statistics show that it's the only skill which a computer cannot do. Other skills, computers can remove them just like that. But the ability to convince one or two a mass of people towards a goal is very, very powerful. And you have to keep it in mind that sales is really, really powerful. The book that I'm recommending, if you want to start off with sales, because here we're just covering the basics, the book I'm recommending is one, Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. I'll put it in the chat. Those of you who are new in chat, you can just check the history of the chat. Get that book. Whether it's audiobook, whether you steal it from any other website, I advise you to get that book and start learning how to sell. Don't want to dwell much on that, but that is just the introduction of why sales is important and what sales mean. Remember, sales is service, persuasion is listening. So the service of listening is what sales is all about. Moving on is now, okay, I know sales is important. Okay, what do I do next? Where do I go? Number one, you have to, like any other thing, you have to train in it. Just like how a child was, like, for example, attending one of these trainings is really powerful. And that's why I thank you, everyone who is here. That's like how when you were a child, you had to learn how to walk by first crawling on the floor, okay? And then you started standing on the walls. After standing on the walls, you now started what? To walk. One day you just pushed off. So that's what also sales is. It's a life learning process, is that it never stops. Last night I was on a training by a gentleman called Frank Kern, and this was at midnight. And we're teaching sales, like, how to sell in the digital era, selling using social media, and how all these tools are powerful. So you have to keep this in mind. Number one is you have to train yourself how to sell, because this is not taught in schools. I mean, all of you, I understand everyone here in this chat must be Ugandan. Those who are not Ugandan, you also have experienced this. Like, there was no course called Selling 101 in school, but we had commerce, we had SST, we had mathematics. Mathematics is good though, but this is not taught in school. So the number one thing, if you want to get good at sales, after understanding why sales is important, it will get you anything that you want in life. Now you have to learn it. Unfortunately, there's no other way around it. So the number one thing is to train. And the best way to train is attending some of these conferences, take on some of these courses. Any chance you get to get any knowledge about sales, you have to take it on. Yes. And then number two, you go in and you start selling. You can start selling by, convincing your siblings to do for you something, convincing someone around you to do for you something that you just test it out. Like, let me try to get them to do this, by not forcing them, but by showing them service of listening. So you keep that in mind, and you apply what you have learned. From the trainings, apply what you have learned, and then you're able to do what? To start selling. And then from that, you review, just like any other sport, because my selling is like what? It's like football, it's like basketball, it's like anything like that. You go in, you train yourself, and it's going to be this one. Unfortunately, there's no one else who teaches you, because you have to do your own work, your own homework, and teach it. After training yourself, you do now get into the part of going out there to deliver the service and sell products, sell things, go convince people. You become the LC1 chairperson. You can even become the president if you wish. Anything you want to achieve, just know it's going to take a sale to get there. If you want to get promoted in your workplace, you have to sell to your bosses that you deserve the promotion. If you want to, get married to a very beautiful girl or a very beautiful, guy, you have to sell. So once you have that skill and understand it, it becomes really powerful and you become really, really unstoppable. So to keep those in mind, how do I get good at sales? Number one, I know sales is important. Number two, how do I get good at sales? Train yourself. You have to train yourself. I've given you guys a book to start with. And from that book, you will see what the next steps are. As I have said, those who joined us before, it is the only skill that is not going to be automated by the computers. You have to sell. Human beings, they sell. You have to sell to each other. So it's the only skill that has existed from way back, and it is going to still be here for the next 1,000 years. So you have to keep that in mind, and you can also pass this on to your kids. So train yourself, go out there, get a job, maybe in insurance. Me, I remember when I started learning sales like 2 years ago, I just applied for all sales jobs that were there. And I got a sales job in a supermarket. You know, you go to a supermarket and you become a salesperson. So I always liked to see how you can apply what you learned in day to day. When a person comes in, they come into the supermarket, they only wanted to buy a soda or a bottle of water. How do you make them buy more? So you get to see that, hey, you look thirsty. Okay, maybe this would help you more. You bundle things up, and so you start to apply some of that knowledge that you are learning as you're training yourself. And then from there, you keep on increasing. From selling bottles of water, you now go to start selling bigger things. And like I've said, sales is not only in products. It could be in leadership, marriage, relationships, parenting, any facet of life, sales is there. So keep that in mind as you are doing what? As you are learning how to sell. So to be good at sales, you will have to learn something we call the sales process. For those of you who are taking notes, I'm trying to go through this very fast so that we can go directly into the Q&A. You have to master this thing called the sales process. And those of you who are taking notes, you can write this down, the sales process. What is the sales process? Just like any other thing that makes up this world, that, for example, we have the digestive process, the digestive system. We have, you don't just wake up in the morning and your eyes see, right? There's a system behind it that is followed by that. So to keep that in mind is that even sales has a system around it. There is a general way you have to approach sales for it to work for you. And just to outline what the sales process is, it starts off with something we call a lead. Number one, under the sales process, we're starting off with something we call a lead. And a lead in simple terms is who is interested in this. For example, if you want to use sales techniques in a marriage, okay, what you're going to do now is first look at whom do I want to marry, whom do I want to get, and that becomes your lead. In a business, when you advertise and all these people who express interest, those people who text you like, how much is this? How much is that? That is a lead. You see, so a lead is who wants your product. Who do you think needs your product? And that is what a lead is. So after getting the lead number one, the lead, now you have to express number two to see whether that lead actually wants your product. You have to see, does this girl or boy actually want you? And this is what we call qualifying the lead. You see, so those of you who are writing down, the sales process involves step number one, the lead, okay? Then number two is to qualify the lead. Those of you who want to use it in parenting, must establish, does the kid want to listen to you? Does the kid, is he in the mind frame of listening to you? Because there is nothing as hard as selling an elephant to a person who wants water, you see. So you have to establish what is the need that that person has. So keep that in mind as you are moving through the sales process. After getting to the person who is interested, like, oh, I know this person would like to marry me, or I would like to get married to them, establish whether they actually want, you see, because you're going to waste time. And just to iterate is that sales is a game of numbers. You have to go through life. It never stops. Never stops. Those of you who have come into this training and want to take on sales as a career choice, because actually you have no choice at this point. Just remember this, it is a lifelong journey of learning and it's a lifelong journey of selling. Like the book I've recommended, Sell or Be Sold. Any point that you are in life, there's someone who's selling you something or you are the one selling something. So it's better to be, at least increase the number of times that you're going to be on this side selling to what? To other people, so that at least you stand a chance to make more out of life and get anything that you want. Yeah, you just name anything. Let's name it. Actually, let's take this small chat. If every one of you can just type in the chat the number one thing that you want the most in life, the number one thing that you want the most in life. Just put it there. Like for you, if you want to be the president, I just want to see in the chat, you can just put it there, just text it. I just want to see if you fear everyone to look at what you want, you can just reply me privately, Greypoint Media. What's the number one thing you want? You see, and I will assure you, I just want to get anyone in here. You can type in anything that you want. Maybe since I was young, I've always wanted to be what? To be an astronaut. And I was like, oh, the only way I'm going to get to being an astronaut is to sell yourself. I'll give you an example. A man who has done it, Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon. I think end of this month, July 31st, he's going to be flying to space. And he has sold his way. Neo says world peace. Neo wishes for world peace. It's the number one thing that he wants. But do you know how we can achieve world peace, Neo? And this is why taking on sales would be a very good thing for you, is that you learn how to sell and persuade. If there's a war going to happen, like now there's a war which is happening between Congo and Uganda. There's a small war going on in there. But I don't know if you can still hear me, my internet connection seems unstable. If you can still hear me, okay, yes, I can still see them coming through. Leadership and influence, I think this is Derek, coming in from Derek. So anything that you want to get in life, essentially, will have to stem from sales. And shockingly, let me tell you, there are so many doctors in this world, there are so many nurses, there are so many software engineers, but the world is short of salespeople. Salespeople are needed everywhere. Actually, the easiest way to get a job, now I've always tried this, and that's why I decided to form a company around it, is that the easiest way to get a job, you just walk in and be like, I want to sell. I want to sell for you. I want 20% of all the things I sell. No, any business person, the number one thing that they are looking for at this time is sales. The person, Doug comes in and says, communicating and understanding between people with art. So that means if you want people to understand, communicate and understand between art, you have to actually sell to them the idea that, oh, this is the best way that we can be able to do it. So learning sales cuts across. It's not only just for selling products and, tricking people into buying insurance or tricking people into buying the different things that people don't necessarily need. It goes deeper. And I think you guys are starting to see, like, it does go deeper than just what we're normally told to do. A lot of people, whenever you hear the word, I'm sure those of you who are Ugandans know the word omotembe or kutembe. I remember those guys who would walk around with a big sack here with a lot of products. And a lot of people always looked down upon those people, because when you say sales person, door-to-door selling, everyone's like, these things, banange, kutembe, what is this? But it now turns out like, no, sales does cut across a lot of spheres. Sales gets you very far. Sales, the president we have now is because he's a good salesman. You look at anyone, Trump, how do you think Trump became the president of America? He's a good salesman. He convinced 350 million people, okay, maybe half of them, that he is the best president at that time. And they also accept it. So sales goes deeper than that. So like we have established the sales process. The number one, you have to get the lead, your target, okay, and establish whether this lead is worth it. And in business, I'll give you an example of how that works in business. That if you get a lead for your business, you ask them that, are you in the market for this sort of product? If they say yes, that's when you continue down the sales process. If they say no, like, don't try to sell the unsellable. This is why maybe a lot of sales teams get frustrated, convincing people who don't want to be convinced, who are not in the market for what you're looking for. It's like you're backing up the wrong tree. So you have to establish whether the person wants your product. And after establishing that, okay, yes, this person wants my product, what becomes the next step? The next step, I want to paint a picture. I want to tell you guys a story. One day I was traveling, moving through an airport, and I experienced, I would say, the best sale I've ever experienced in my life. So as I was walking through the airport, I'm late for my plane, and I'm running through. This young girl stops me, is like, "Hey, sir, first come. There's something. First come. I need to check something." And all of a sudden, she grabs my hand, pulls out some sort of like a lotion, and she starts to put it. And she was asking me, "What is your name? Where are you going? Where are you traveling?" but did you know that your skin could have dirt on it that you have never seen? Do you care for your skin? I know you men, you don't care for your skin. As she's rubbing it, and as she was rubbing, black things start to come off, you see. Then she's like, look at this and look at this. What is the difference? And she says, that will be $5. You guy, I had to pull out the money and pay her because, look, I was already in a rush. Like I'm already running to get to where I'm going, right? But this person stops you, and before you even notice it, you are already committed into the thing, you see. And I just want to explain, just from that example, I'm going to explain the steps that follows that. Number one, she established the lead. She saw me. She's like, oh, that person. Okay, come. She established the lead and established interest by pulling the hand. I gave the hand. I put the hand out because I was wondering, what is this? What is going on? After establishing interest, the next crucial step that she did was what we call problem seeking or probing, or what the doctors call diagnosis. You see, when you go to the hospital, what's the first thing you do? You first, before they even tell you how much you pay, whatever, they first take your temperature, they take this thing of simanya, pressure, what. They take all of that. And then they start what? They tell you, okay, now you're going to go see the doctor. Consultation fee, 20K, you see, there and then. But what the doctor essentially is going to do is to probe. Have you been having a headache, stomach ache? Starts to get out the darker thing and puts on your chest, what? They open your mouth like this, they put a torch inside. What they're doing there is they're probing. They're trying to see where is the problem coming from. This person is saying, I don't feel good. Where is the problem coming from? And that is the crucial step in sales, is that, and most of you have noticed that you can never leave the hospital without spending money because they know how to probe where the problem is. A person has told you, yes, I want to get married to you. I want to marry you. Yes. Okay. We have established interest. The lead is right. Now we have to see what type of marriage do you want? What type of person are you? Is it perfect? Can it be? What we are just trying to get there is the perfect fit. Because a sale, look, like I've said, to sell is to serve, right? So you have to make sure that you get the perfect fit to make sure that your service is good, your service is appreciated, and it's okay. So keep that in mind when you're doing the sales that you do, is that as you're trying to serve, make sure that, yes, you have established the lead. Number two, the lead is wants what you have to sell. Now, number three, you have to get sure that it is exactly perfect. This is a very crucial step because a lot of salespeople, those of you who have done some of sales training, know about something called objections. Someone says, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough. My grandmother fell sick yesterday. I can't buy your product, something like that. And that usually comes in when you have not established whether, yes, okay, I want your product, but is it exactly what you want? It's a key question to ask. Is it exactly what you want? And after establishing that, the main point here is to look for the pain points. Yes, this person wants to marry you. Okay. Why do they want to marry? Because that will be, once the sale is completed, that will be what will hold for the years of marriage that you guys want to do what? Once the sale is completed and the person takes your car, maybe you're selling cars, that will be why they always say, that girl sold me a car and it was, I love this car, you see. So you have to know exactly what they need. Do they need a car for their family? Do they need it for partying? Because the person who's a party animal, there's a different car they need than the person who is a farmer, you see. So you have to keep that in mind, is that after establishing, yes, they do want the car. Okay, what type of car is best for them? And this is where the service element comes in. When you reach that part of asking for the money, the person is already convinced. You don't need to convince people, Simanya, pay now 50% deposit. No, the person will even sell. Haven't you had these things where people sell even plots of land to buy something? You see? And that is because that thing has appealed to the deepest pain. And that is your job. A salesperson, those of you who are noting down, you can put this down. A great salesperson is like a doctor. Is a doctor. Essentially, below doctors who are medical and they save lives. We save lives. Salespeople, we save lives in different ways, because you can save someone's marriage, you can save someone's image, you can make someone money, you can make someone get free time with their kids. We save lives so you have to approach sales from the perspective like as if it's a doctor. Let me try to move this along very fast. We are now 30 minutes in. But the key point here, when we talk about the pain points, is that you have to make sure that your product or whatever you're selling feeds into the person's deepest pains. And they are mainly, apart from food, shelter, clothing, and all these other things, the main thing that many people care for is to be loved, sex, yes. You're selling a car to this young man. Will it get him girls? These are the things that, the bare truths about being a human. You're selling this dress to this young woman, or maybe this suit to this young man. Will it get him seen and noticed, and he walks in the room and, you see, it does not matter how much the suit is. Because the people who buy 2 million, even 5 or even 10 million suits, one suit, 10 million Ghana shillings. But when he walks in, that kind of feeling. So it is safety. Will it make them feel safe? Will it make them feel loved? Will it make them feel seen? And does it give them time? Let's say you're selling a solution to a business. You're selling, okay, you know what, our product, it can do this. Will it save them time? And why do they want time? So they can feel safety with their children. They can go back home and spend time with their children. They can have more time to be loved, you see. So it is very key that you tailor yourselves to these core human beliefs, and you tailor yourself to the emotion. Those of you who are taking notes, you can write this down. People buy from emotions and not from price. People buy from emotions and not from price. If you attended our previous training where we're talking about advertising, you realize that the main thing that was talked about was that the relationships between advertisers and maybe agencies is not even based on the work. It is based on personal relationship. Do I like you? And how you approach sales is also should be like that. It's like as if you're dating, you see. So, like I've said, this is basic sales 101. Establish the lead. Make sure the lead wants it. After they want it, probe them their deepest pain. Will it make them feel safe, feel loved, get time? All that should be put together. Will it make them rich? After you put it all together, now you move to the next step of testing out your product. Going back to that girl who spoke to me at the airport, you see. She was telling me, now you see, your skin will be clean and the people will see you. You are kushanana like this. My friend, the money was out of the pocket. The money was out of the pocket. So that is exactly how a perfect sale goes. And I remember I even had that girl on Facebook and I sent her a message. I was like, you are a great salesperson. Because I remember that time I was still learning. I was still in this process of learning how to sell. And it was really, really powerful. After establishing that, you test out the product to see whether it will actually help them. If you're selling a dress to someone, let them put it on, and let them see in the mirror. Does it make them look beautiful? Test out the product. Speak to the business person and tell them, if you do A, B, C, D, this is how it will come out. You see, you test it out, and if they see that it's perfect, then you just get into the final step. The final step is closing and asking for the money. This is key. This one is key, and I want to say it. If you're getting into sales, learn to ask for money. I mean, we grew up in the African society, at least I can attend to this, is that we are trained to be very obedient. Don't over, kakana. But you need to learn to ask for the money. This is something that I've also struggled with. And at this point, I can believe I'm coming out of it. Ask for the money. If you're selling 100 million product, ask for the money. Like, hey, here it is, 100 million. Let's go. Let's make this happen. When can we start? You have to learn to ask for the money. Because a person will like it, and now they now want to sell to you. Remember? Sell or be sold. They're like, now, like this dress to make it has cut across everything they need. Now I don't want to pay this person. That kind of thing starts, right? To avoid all that is that once you hit the pain points, go in for the kill. Ask for the money. Start the close right away. And this is why it is very, very essential to the steps. Make sure that the person you are selling to wants what you're selling. They need it. Actually, not just want, they need it. The need is different from the want. They will die for it. So when you ask for the money, take, please. You have solved my problem. But when you try to sell the unsaid it, this is what will happen. This money is too much. You guys, you're stealing from us. You guys, what? My grandmother is sick. I cannot, my mother-in-law died. All those things start to come up and your sales process becomes hard. So it's very key to maintain the first two steps. Make sure that the person wants what you, and if they don't want, never take harm. If like you reach out to someone and they don't want what you're saying, like, there's 7 billion people in this world. You see, in our community here, Uganda, 42 million people coming to 50. There are so many people that you can reach out to. And that's why you find that the people who do door-to-door sales never run out of money, because they always say, if you move between 10 houses, at least one person will buy. At least 2. A good day you sell 5. Oh, that's a good day. But on a bad day, you at least get what? 1. So you go through the numbers. When a person says, no, let's keep it moving, let's go, you see. That is really, really important. So after testing out your product, ask for the money. Now, of course, you find a perfect client, they like your product, they want it, they need it. Okay. A great salesman understands the customer. You look at the customer and you understand, like, okay, yes, this is a perfect customer, they like it. I am trying to serve them. So there's always something which is at the end, which most salespeople always forget, is the follow-up. Is that if you don't have the money, I can say, okay, you know what? This product is 100 million. Let's do a deposit. Give me 50. Now, how much do you have? How much do you have here? So that I can come back. Because you need to understand also there is another sale in the follow-up. You can make much more money by following up. Once you find the perfect client, don't give up. You see, once you find the perfect client, do not give up on them. Whether it means keeping them in the loop for a year, you keep them in the loop for a year. And I think we shall have to do a different trainings for the art of the follow-up, because it is statistically known that 99.9% of the money that salespeople make is always in the follow-up. You see, person comes to the bond, they see the car, they like the car, they want to buy the car, but they didn't save enough money for this car. They want a Range Rover, but they came with Corolla money. You see, it's okay. Let's take a deposit. Why don't you pay in installments? You see, all those things start to come in. But the most important thing is that get the sale, get it written down. I want to not go so far because I'm seeing the time concept almost coming to 1 hour in this. But the key thing that you guys have to always remember is that the sales process, whether you are marrying someone, whether you're talking to a kid in parenting, whether you are buying a car, whether you're buying soda, the sales process is always the same. There is a lead, number 1. For those of you who have been writing, you can maybe review. Number 1, there's a lead. Number 2, establish that the lead is qualified, that the lead wants what you sell. If they don't want, let it go. Move to the next person. And number 3, after establishing interest, you now look at their deepest pain point. The reason why people buy Coca-Cola, the deepest pain point is thirst. They are thirsty. They are like, oh my God, what do I do? So establish the deepest pain point, because it will help you in the closing process. You won't have to say much. And after that, see if what you're selling solves the deepest need. Safety, does it get them late? Does it give them time? Does it make them feel secure? Self-esteem, all those things. You have to see which one fits in your product. Then test out your product, show them that it will work for them, and then ask for the what? Ask for the money. That's step number 5. And the last step, the last step is to follow up. In case you don't close, you follow up. But even still, even if you close the client and the client has the money they have paid you, don't just take the money and run. A good salesperson knows that once someone has paid, they are now in the zone of pain. That's why bars, when you go to bars, they just want you to buy their first drink. Actually, most of them, they even give it to you for free. They give you for free to have a test. If it gets you buzzed, then you start to unleash the what? Unleash the money. And that's how it essentially is that when you do close a client, just know that client is yours for life. So whatever you're selling, just know they will always come back and buy. Because number 1, they have trusted you and you have delivered. Let's say now you're a good salesperson after many years of training and you are very good. You have delivered something. Let's say it's a very beautiful dress. This is why women buy dresses from the same shop over and over again. They use the same tailor ever since they met the tailor in their 20s, until they die. Why? If the tailor is good, give them the self-esteem, give them the perfect dress, and then they just keep on going back and going back and going back. And that's why you see, you tend to buy from the same supermarket. Let's say those of you who commute back, going back home. You tend to buy from the same supermarket. Why? There's something that they have done for you there, that they have kept you there with them. So the follow-up does not stop. The follow-up does not stop at all. Let me try to wrap this up by just summarizing everything I've gone through. I want to open up Q&A. And the way we are going to do Q&A, I think we shall have to do it from top to bottom. I don't know how you guys see this is arranged, but we shall have to go from top to bottom. And if you have no question, you can just skip it. But ask me any question in regards to what I've talked about, even outside of this, as long as it's related to sales. But just to recap what I was talking about. Number one, sales is the most important skill. It's the only skill that cannot be replaced by computers, unfortunately. You see, because any other thing can be replaced by computers. Even if people tell you, oh, learn how to code, it is the best thing. Yes, but one day a computer will be able to code itself. Or you should learn how to drive a car. My friend, there are driverless cars now. So it is the only skill that remains untouched in this new modern age. After learning why sales is important, it cuts across all the what? I've been giving you guys an example, whether you're selling beauty products, whether you're trying to get married, whether you're trying to get a job. There are people, even let me tell you, there are people who have gotten big jobs when they don't even deserve them, when they don't have the CV, the papers for them. Why? They entered there, sold themselves, you see. So it does matter to be able to learn how to sell. And after moving from that, we defined sales. What is sales? Sales is service. You are serving the other person. The reason why they win that job is because the interviewers see that, oh, this person is going to serve us. It's going to be a very big benefit to the company. So let's have them there. There are people who even change the job description, the requirements, because they want this person. And that is what great sales is. And then we moved on to persuasion. Persuasion is listening. As you can see, sales and persuasion is the same. It's intertwined. You have to listen. That's what I've been talking about. Listen to what the client exactly wants. What do they need that dress for? Yes, they're going for their sister's wedding. But is there an ex at the wedding that they want to show off to? And when you establish that, and like when he sees you in this dress, he's going to regret why he left you. Oh, even if you say 20 million, person will buy. So listening is the art of persuasion. I've told you guys that the number one scarcest skill, I don't know if scarcest is a word, but the number one scarcest skill in this world right now is salespeople. There's a war between Uganda and what? I'm talking about this and I lost a train of thought, but there's a war between Uganda and Congo. And the reason why that war is going on is because there is no salesperson to bring them together and understand that brothers, sisters, we are better together. You see? So this is what ambassadors should do. Actually, all ambassadors should be put into sales training and they understand how to sell so that we can avoid such catastrophes from happening. Everything that you have seen that is bad in this app is because there was no salesperson to do. The greatest presidents are great salespeople. The politicians are great salespeople. And oh my God, do they sell? Like, oh, I'm going to serve you. I'm going to build roads. I'm going to do what? It all leads around service and listening. I gave you guys a book where you're going to start from, just to maybe put it in the chat again here. The book is Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. It's where I've actually distilled most of this information. So I want to give you examples of how it works in real life, because he's an American and he gives American examples. You can go get this book, download it, steal it. I don't care. Guys, get this book. I really, really pray that you get this book so that you can understand the perspective of how sales is really, really, really important. Because once you understand why, the how becomes simple. Then how to be good at sales? Number one, you have to train. Train because no one teaches us this when we're young. Number two, you have to go out there and sell. Find a product. Find a product you can test it on. Me straight up, I went to a supermarket after getting my first sales certificate. I went to the supermarket and I started from there. And then you review and keep on increasing. Then after that, you have to master. The what? Okay, Nicholas. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm about to open up Q&A. Let me just summarize this. Then you have to master the sales process. Like we have talked about the sales process. Number one, establish the what? Establish the lead. Qualify the lead. Do they want that product? After qualifying the lead, seek, probe, get the question. Why do they need that product? Why? Why do they want to buy that product? What is the pain point? And once you have the pain point, test out your product, test it out on them. After testing them, close them. Close them, ask for the money. That is the fifth step. And then follow up. Check on them. Did you enjoy the juice? Those of you who maybe sell foods. Like I've gone to restaurants, I've eaten, and the restaurant people never even ask me ever again, like, did you enjoy the food? Because what if I didn't enjoy it? What if I didn't? What happens? You see? So follow up. And if a person, let's say, does not make the sale there, and then you can follow up and maybe get deposit. And so follow up. We shall have a whole different training. That one will even be like 5 hours because there is a lot of money in the follow up. I just wanted to stop here because we're kind of running low on time. For the next 1 hour, 30 minutes, however long you guys want to be here, I just want to open up to the Q&A.